for a walk? You want to go for a walk? Yeah? Yeah? You want to go? You and me? What do you think? Yeah. We are heading into the weekend and I have so many fun things planned for the next several days that I thought it would be fun to just bring you guys along with me. Now, I have no work planned for the next several days, and you know what, you guys? I've been here not quite 2 months and pretty much everything's done. And I'm talking the landscaping, the furnishings of the house, getting things all organized and stuff. It's almost done. I'm just waiting for a few more pieces and then I'll do a whole house tour. All the different rooms, take you around the garden as well and the front yard and that whole area. So that's going to be really fun. That should happen in just a few weeks. I just need to get a couple of more pieces in that are coming probably within the next 5 or 6 days. This weekend is a whole bunch of fun stuff around Aiken and the surrounding communities. And I'm really looking forward to just doing some social activities, some community things for the next several days. Not shoveling, not organizing, just having a relaxing time. What's new in my life? Let's see, I made a hair appointment. I haven't had my hair done since before I moved from the Lake Tahoe area, and I got my hair cut really short before I left for a reason, because I knew it was going to be a while before I would get my hair done again. So I've made an appointment with a gal. I don't know how it's going to go, but I will show you the before and after. Hopefully I found a good gal and I can just keep her and I can rely on that. What else is going on? You know, nothing new. Dex and Lucy are doing great. We have just a lovely little household here. It's a lot of fun. Lucy and I have a great time exploring the neighborhood. Dex has a great time communing with the hummingbirds just on the other side of the screen. How they have the courage to come up and drink from those feeders knowing that cat's not going to get through that screen. I just think that's the most entertaining thing. So for this weekend, the first thing that's going to happen, and why I'm starting today on Thursday, is my friend Jen. She lives here in Aiken. She's a Reiki master. She's coming over this morning and we're going to be doing an energy clearing in my home. And what that means is that we're going to go from room to room. We're going to clear out any negative energy, bring in loving energy, and just set the intentions for my next several months living here. She's going to be bringing something. I'm not sure if it's sage or what she's going to clear with, but we'll find out when she gets here. So that's this morning. Then she and I are going to go downtown to the New Moon Cafe, which we went there about a week and a half ago. We just loved it. It was just the coolest place. And we're going to have just a little snack or something. Then I have to come back here. I've got some workers coming at 1 o'clock. And then this evening, I'm doing something so cool. I'm not going to tell you about it now. I'll show you when I get there, and it's really, really unique and really interesting. I found it online. You know, I'm always looking up events in Aiken or community events, that sort of thing, because I really love getting involved in whatever community I'm in. And I've been in a lot of communities. So tonight's going to be really fun. And then for the rest of the weekend, there's some local happenings that are a big deal. I'll be taking you along as well. If you're new here, welcome in. I'm so glad you stopped by. I'm Kimberly. This is Pretty Over 50, where we talk everything makeup, skincare, and lifestyle for the over 50 woman. I hope you'll consider subscribing while you're here and make sure you click that notification bell so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. And if you haven't signed up for my email newsletter list, you can do it right below. It's super easy, it's super free, it's super fun. Every Sunday, I send out a very short, very information-packed email newsletter, and I talk about all the tips and tricks and great products and whatever I found during the week that I think is really worth knowing about. So you can sign up for that down below in the description box. I think you're gonna love it. Lucy. Come on, look who's here.
I brought my bye-bye bed juju kit and bread, of course.
Oh, you brought bread?
I did.
Bless your ever-loving heart. Jen brought me this homemade bread. It looks so delicious and smells divine. So, Missy, tell us what this is.
It is a whole grain, gluten-free, oil-free, egg-free, dairy-free bread that I made my own flours with. Let's see, you blend up brown rice, oat groats, rolled oats, and millet, and buckwheat groats. And then
What's a groat?
It's the original form of the grain before they process it and smash it down and
so it's
blend it
got
up.
all the good nutrients and the fiber
Yeah.
and everything else.
Everything, yeah. So
Wow.
I blended all those up in my, you have to have a really good blender for that. So
Right.
I blended all those up to make the flour, and then I think I added, oh my gosh, psyllium husk powder and flaxseed and molasses and a little salt, and there's a little bit of sugar, but not a lot, just
Not a lot.
because the grains are a little acidic without it, kind of calms it down. And a ton of water. There's 3 cups of water in here, believe it or not.
Wow. It looks fabulous.
I love it, so I hope you like it too. I'm gonna.
Tell us what we got here.
We have tools, toys.
And what are we doing?
We're cleansing all the old energy from your house, anything that's been left here by other people. And I'm gonna start with some sage incense because it's less messy than sage, which leaves little charcoal things all over your house, and I'm not a fan of that. So this, we're gonna let it sit in a room while I continue doing the second way of cleansing, which is gonna be with my crystal singing bowl. And then after we do your whole house with the singing bowl, I'll go through and Reiki the whole house.
And so what is the goal here?
The goal is to basically get you a clean slate. So we're gonna get rid of anybody else's energy that's here, anything stale, stagnant.
Can we see inside that box?
Oh, sure.
So what's...
It's just an incense burner that holds it all in so it doesn't, fly all over the place.
Oh, it smells so good.
It's sage.
Oh, yum.
And then when the sage is gone, I also brought cedar because this is grounding. So we're gonna cleanse and then we're gonna ground with the cedar.
Okay. What about adding good energy in?
Well, that's what this kind of does. The crystal bowl and Reiki is where I will use the intention to send in pure divine light, is the way I like to word it. And to basically, I'm gonna make symbols on the walls and the floor and the ceiling that will also bless your space. It's just blessing your space.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
I'll put this here on this side. And then I'm gonna start with the... Oh, don't take my feather, please. Thank you very much. Okay. Keep track of where you are. And setting the intention that this sound is going to cleanse and purify this space and leave only the energy that is going to be for your highest good. Look here. Oh, that's probably really loud on her ears. Oh,
No, it's wonderful. I think that she's going to get good juju from that.
what is that? Look at her.
I'm just taking a little break for a late lunch. Gosh, it was a busy morning. Jen came by and we did an energy clearing throughout the house. It was so fun. And you know, she has one of those singing bowls. I want one of those singing bowls. They're so lovely. And the notes that they put out are just divine. I just feel really good when I'm around the music from those singing bowls. If you have singing bowls, put it down in the comments below. I'd like to hear how you use them and you know, any other information you want to share. I really don't know anything about them. For lunch, I'm actually sitting in the kitchen next to my huge and beautiful Monstera plant. Isn't that gorgeous? I am having Crowder beans with kale. I chopped up some kale and warmed them up with the Crowder beans. And I actually threw a little bit of Parmesan cheese in. I don't know if that's blasphemy here in the South. And of course, a little bit of structured water for lunch. I want to show you guys something that I picked up down in Aiken the other day. I went to the Aiken Center for the Arts and they have a gallery and I picked up this little vase. Isn't that just so very pretty? I just love this little vase. So I put it here on the kitchen table. I'll show you next to the picture, and I'm going to get some flowers at the farmer's market and put in that little vase. I think that'll be pretty. So I have a few minutes before I have to hop in the car and go off to my next adventure. I have so many fun things I'm doing this week and I'm so glad you guys are here with me. So I'm going to eat my lunch and then next stop is this really interesting event I'm going to tonight. I am at the Ethridge Center on the campus of the University of South Carolina. Now, I don't know if this is the full campus. I think it's a satellite campus. It is right in Aiken. And tonight there is a talk by a woman titled Talking with the Dead. South Carolina is divided into different sections, like most states are. Greenville is the upstate. I live in Aiken, which is in the middle of the state, which is called the Midlands. And over by the coast, that is called the Low Country. The Low Country is very rich in culture and steeped in incredible history. Tonight, there's going to be a talk by a woman and she's going to be sharing stories of the Gula Geechee women from the South Carolina Low Country. I had to read that. I can't remember it. These women have a deep and rich culture going back generations, where through dreams and trance states and other altered states, they talk to their ancestors. So they use dreams and prayer and visions to connect with those who have gone before them. So these women make choices and get guidance from their ancestors in the spirit world through this tradition. I am so excited about this talk. It is so interesting to me. There is so much in our culture right now about talking to spirits, connecting with those not in physical. And I think what we lose sometimes is that this has been going back for generations, and there's so much that we can learn from those cultures that are rich and deep and have carried these on generation after generation. So I'm here in the Ethridge Center, and there is a reception before the talk, about a half an hour. I don't know how that's going to go. And then I'm going to go into the theater and listen to this incredible woman. I am really, really fascinated by this whole topic, and particularly the connection to a very rich and deep generational tradition of connecting to energy and spirit. Now, I suspect, because it's 6 o'clock in the evening, and we all know that's almost midnight for me, that I'm going to be a little bit tired when this is done. If I'm too tired to check in with you about what happened, I'll try to take a little bit of video inside the theater. If I'm too tired to check in with you tonight, we'll definitely have coffee together in the morning, and I'll share with you all the interesting facts I learned. I'm really thrilled about this. I know it's going to be something super interesting, and I'm going to be so surprised at what I learned.
Recounting my experience in the city market in downtown Charleston. How many of you have been to Charleston? Oh, a good number. Great number. Almost everyone. Great. And the city market?
The talk last night was so fascinating. I'll have to tell you, I was sucked in and kind of carried away. The format of the talk was a question and answer, and a faculty member from that campus was asking the author questions about her book. I'm going to read her name because I can't remember it on my own. Her name is LaRonda S. Manigault Bryant. And oh my gosh, she was such a fascinating and stately woman. I enjoyed her personality very much in that she was very easy to listen to, just the kind of person that you would want to go out and have coffee with. Just a very emotionally intelligent, easygoing, learned person. And she has so many initials after her name. She's a professor somewhere, I'm not sure what college. And of course, she wrote the book, Talking to the Dead. The story all started for her when she was on a field trip during her school days. And I believe she was around junior high, like 7th or 8th grade. And the field trip was to a market that had been in existence for a long time. And my perception was that it was a community market, like Pike's Place in Seattle, where it's an open air market. It has a long history. They've been doing it for generations. And the class was at this market, and she had a profound event while she was at this market, very young. What happened for her is that she started seeing all these people at the market that she knew critically they weren't actually there, but she was seeing them. She was seeing a sea of people that she knew did not exist in physicality, but they were very, very clear to her. The experience really overwhelmed her, and she couldn't really go on. She had to leave the market. It was quite an event. She got home and was explaining it to her mother and grandmother and really didn't know how to start in, because she was very clear that she was seeing people that didn't exist in this dimension or this reality, but they were very real to her, and they were not happy people. When she was explaining this to her mother and her grandmother, they both went, yeah, yeah. In other words, there was no sense of surprise from her relatives. And their response was, of course you're seeing these people. Those are your ancestors. Most of them were slaves, not happy lives, and she was seeing them as a result of that deep and rich ancestral lineage that she came from. Now, obviously, not everyone sees into other dimensions, but she had that experience very, very young, that she became aware of her ancestral heritage through actually seeing these souls that were mingling among the current shoppers at the market. What that started in her was a real curiosity and a real journey into looking into the culture of the Gula and Geechee women. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. What I found particularly fascinating, and I think it's probably very much a part of the fact that I was not raised in the South. I was raised on the West Coast. And what I am aware of so acutely living in the South now is the deep, rich, tangible, almost visceral cultural history in this part of the country. It's like nothing I've ever experienced, and I've lived in a few places around the country. So her journey started to really do a deep dive in who are her ancestors, why were the women in her culture so very connected to their heritage, and the book chronicles the lives of several women in their journey to keep their culture alive. One of the terms that I found so fascinating, will probably stick with me for a long time, is the term culture keeper. And the author talked about the many women in her world that felt a deep sense of responsibility to carry on the culture, the traditions, the history of their community. The term culture keepers, I just loved that. I thought it was fascinating. So the talk was really a deep dive into how these women keep that lineage alive, move those traditions and histories forward. It was really quite fascinating. I loved it. The book is available on Amazon. Again, the name of it is Talking to the Dead, and I think that it might have originally been a textbook, but it really is written in a very poetic and novel-esque way. She did read passages from the book. It's beautifully written. Enjoyed that conversation so much, and I do think that the moderator, the question answer, he acknowledged in the very beginning, he said, I'm not sure if I'm the right person to be doing this because I'm a middle-aged white guy. And so he was very humble about his position. Loved the talk. Really appreciate that that was available to us in the community. Today I'm off on another journey. I'll have to say, I have so many fun things planned this weekend, and I'm not hardly working at all around the house. I have a little bit to do, but not a lot. I feel like I'm on vacation. It's been so much fun thinking about what I'm going to do for this whole weekend. Today is particularly special. It is the opening day of Aiken's Macon. And what Aiken's Macon is, and if you live in this area, you already know, it is the arts and crafts show that is the big one in town. They were actually setting it up last night as I was driving home, and a lot of the streets are blocked off. What they're doing is they're setting up the tents along one of the meridians downtown. And I've shared before that a lot of the streets in this area are separated into one way this direction, one way the other direction, and then down the center is a grassy meridian. Last night as I was coming home, there was a lot of streets blocked off. I had to kind of go the long way around, which tells me there's going to be some traffic issues downtown today. So I'm going to walk down there. For me to walk downtown is maybe 7 minutes. It's really, really close, which is so very interesting because I feel like I live in a very, very peaceful, quiet neighborhood. You would never know that downtown is right over there. I'll take you guys along on the walk and then all through Aiken's Macon. I'm really excited about this. I'm going to take a little bit of cash because I love to buy local artwork, particularly ceramic items, when I am in different towns. I've shared with you that I've lived in a number of places. I have lived in Montana, I have lived in Oregon, I have lived in Northern and Southern California. I've lived in Mexico several times. I lived in Italy for a semester during college and went to school there. I've lived in Ecuador, so I've traveled around a little bit, but I'll have to say there is something so specific and unique and deep and rich about the culture in the South. I really am kind of swept away with it. It's just so very unique. And the Southern hospitality thing, oh my gosh, it is so real, and it feels so good. I now know why people who have lived in the South come back after they leave or they long for it, because it's such a warm sense of comfort to have that hospitality and just that caring consideration from the people around you. It's lovely. One thing I want to mention before I get dressed and we walk downtown is what I'm wearing. I've got long pants on too. These are bamboo PJs from a company called Booty, and it's spelled Boody. These were sent to me by my little friends at Christopher's Boutique in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. We've kind of struck up a little bit of a friendship, and they send me things from time to time when they think I might enjoy them. And oh my gosh, have you ever tried bamboo clothing before? It is so soft and so comfortable, and it's a little bit more substantial or sturdy than cotton. It really is a unique fabric and really, really comfortable. They sent me several PJ sets that you can mix and match. If you haven't tried bamboo clothing, you might want to. It is really a unique material. I like it very much. I'll have their boutique listed down below if you're interested. They sent me this color. It's kind of a soft, dusty pink, and also a few items in gray as well. They're really, really pretty. Well, I'm going to finish a little bit more of my coffee and get dressed and walk down to Aiken's Macon. I'm really excited about this. I'll take you along the walk. You're going to see how pretty it is to stroll downtown. Golf carts are a real thing around Aiken, and people will drive their golf carts from the neighborhood I live in downtown. It's really kind of a fun little thing. Maybe I need a golf cart. My first impression now that I'm here, and of course this is the first time I've gone to Aiken's Macon, it's so much bigger than I had anticipated. I thought it was just going to be one block, but it's several blocks with lots and lots of booths. It's really huge. This is pretty exciting. Looks like there's food booths, craft booths, hippie booths, which of course speak to our generation. I'm really looking forward to seeing what all is available here. Well, this is such an interesting find. This lady is from the Low Country, and she makes these sweetgrass baskets. I believe it's sweetgrass. And last night at the lecture, this was one of the topics the author talked about, was the whole culture of creating these sweetgrass baskets. Aren't they stunning?
Yeah.
They're just beautiful, and she's hand making them right now at the booth.
Look at this.
Just beautiful. This is an incredibly successful community event. It is so crowded down here. I think half the town has showed up for Aiken's Macon. There are so many vendors at this craft show. I haven't seen another craft show like this, I don't think, with as many vendors, and everything from handmade soaps to jewelry to baked goods to pecans. Just about everything you can think of. Of course, there's all the food that you would expect at an event like this. There's homemade ice cream, there's crab cakes, a lemonade stand, just everything. It's really such a delightful event, and you can see all the people behind me. Everyone has come out for such a wonderful day, and it hasn't started raining yet. There's a 50% chance of rain. I don't know if that's today or this evening. It's just been a wonderful stroll through Aiken's Macon. I'm so glad you guys could join me. It is Sunday, and it's the last day of my big fat fun weekend, and I'm getting ready to go downtown. I'll show you what I'm going to do when I get down there, but first I wanted to talk with you guys about something that I do, or is a part of me, or a makeup of my personality that I think a few of you are going to go, uh-huh. I do that too. This is a blender. This is a spendy blender. It's a Blendtec blender. Pricey. At least in my world. Worth every penny, but pricey. I bought this a few weeks after I got here, and I really had an internal struggle to buy this blender. And I'll tell you why. And here's where we get to the part that I think a lot of you are going to be going, uh-huh. I do that too. And the reason I wanted to talk with you guys about it is I think it's age specific, particularly to women in our age group. And I've got a lot of cleavage going on here. Sorry about that. I'll try to keep it under control. I was raised a good deal of the time by my grandparents. I spent a considerable amount of time with my grandmother growing up, and she really helped to form my belief system, how I did things, what I thought was fair and reasonable in life, that sort of thing. And what I want to say about my grandmother, and this is going to be true for you as well, because this is our age group. My grandmother lived through the Depression. As a matter of fact, during a point in her life, she was married, had 2 young school-age children, and they lived in a tent in a blackberry patch in Oregon. My grandfather had gotten like a day job or some kind of roaming job somewhere, probably in an oil field in Oregon. Don't quote me on that, but that was the kind of work he did back then. And my grandmother needed to manage running the family and 2 young girls out of a tent in a blackberry patch. This woman who I spent so much time with, she always had a garden, and we ate the majority of our fruits and vegetables from her garden. And what she didn't grow, she would trade with friends and neighbors for what they grew. So there was really a lot of back and forth, and here I'll give you a little bit of this, and I'll take a little bit of that. My grandmother could feed a family of 4 for a week on 1 chicken, 2 potatoes, a carrot, and an onion. Clearly I'm exaggerating, but this is the type of carefulness that she had in her life as far as money. She saved all her aluminum foil. If you needed a rubber band in any size, she had them. Those little twist ties that go around the bread wrappers, I don't think they have them anymore. She had a drawer full of those. In other words, she was very, very aware of saving money and how to cut corners and how to really do things on a nickel, literally on a nickel. There was a point where she and my grandfather lived right down the street from like a little penny store. Remember penny stores? We would call them convenience markets today, but they were individually owned, generally by someone in the neighborhood, and they were penny stores. She could literally send me to the penny store for a loaf of bread and a quart of milk and give me exact change down to the penny. So this was a very, very different life than the life that we look around and see today, where people are tapping their card or they're ordering online. There's not that sense of connectedness to growing your own food, preparing food, being very, very conscientious about money, and really living a different type of cultural lifestyle. Well, I still have that because it was so ingrained in me. And I've told this story before. I think I was probably in my mid-20s before I ever bought a jar of store-bought pickles because my grandmother canned everything. We had canned tomatoes, canned okra, canned peaches, pickles, everything. I mean, we had a cupboard full of canned food every fall going into the winter season. The first time I bought a store-bought jar of pickles, it was like, oh, these are terrible. And they were expensive. They were like $2 or $3, and I thought that was expensive at the time. Good heavens, I don't even know what they are now. I am still, and maybe you are too. Tell me your stories down below because I notice it in myself all the time. For instance, I drive a 20-year-old car. It's 20 years old. I don't have a backup camera. I don't have anything fancy on my car. And you know what my attitude is? It's just fine. It runs great. It gets me where I want to go. It doesn't break down. It's just fine. That is a throwback to a different generation, it being just fine. Even today, when I go to a restaurant, I go all the way over to the right and read the prices first. And I don't like that about myself. Well, maybe I do. I don't know. I just notice it. And heaven knows, it's just me. I can afford whatever I want on the menu. It's not an issue. It's just that I learned very, very early to be very thoughtful and very considerate and very purposeful with how I spent my money. I think if my daughters were going to have a conversation about my money habits, and I'm sure they did, I'm sure at one point they did, they would probably label me cheap. In a loving way, but that's how they would say it because I was always looking to be very conscientious and very thoughtful and getting what we needed without spending excess money just to have the best and the newest and the fanciest and that sort of thing. So the reason I wanted to share this with you today is I want your stories because I think it would be very entertaining for all of us to look at how that generation, that Depression era generation, has impacted us. And we're probably the last generation that's really going to have that sensibility or that carefulness about money. So that's what I have to say about being cheap or frugal or careful or measured. I'm not sure what to call it, but make sure that you tell me your story down below. I'm out in a little town called Jackson at a place called Boondock Farms, and today is their foodie fest. And oh my gosh, when I saw the notification about this, I was really pretty excited. I love coming to these local events that focus on homegrown food, local sourced food. It is early Saturday morning, and the turnout is probably going to be a little bit light today because thunderstorms are in the forecast and it's actually raining a little bit. But I thought I would go ahead and come out and just sort of cruise around. I'm really looking for local resources for food over the winter, so I'll probably be picking up some business cards and just getting to know the local vendors here. Now, Jackson is 15 miles from where I live in Aiken. It took me about 25 minutes to get here just on some beautiful, I call them country roads, they call them highways. The thought of that being a highway just cracks me up. Anyway, I'm here. I'm going to walk around. I'll take you guys with me and we'll see what we can find out today at the Food Fest in Jackson. There's a group of food trucks here. I love a good food truck. And they all have really interesting things to eat. This is a sandwich place, so they have brisket, chicken quesadillas, ooh, fried Brussels sprouts and rice. Oh my gosh. Brisket taco. I might have to try one of those, you guys. I decided that I needed the brisket taco. It just sounded so good. So there's brisket, pickled onions, cheddar cheese, and then I'm going to squeeze a little bit of that lime over the top. Oh my gosh. That is so good. The flavor of the brisket, and there's cilantro over it with the pickled onions. Wow. I'm going to do this at home. This is so delicious. Yum. And here we have my dream backyard. Raised beds, plenty of room. Looks like they've even got goats over there in the corner. This is my kind of living. Right there. I did the whole Food Fest market. That was really fun. This property is beautiful. I am not sure how big the property is, but it's got to be, I would say, 10, 15, 20 acres. It's huge and gorgeous. I did see their backyard garden. I'm not sure if they have crops somewhere else on this property. They have designated a large field area that all the stalls were in for this food market that they do, I think, every Saturday from 10 to 2. And then from time to time, they'll have all the food vendors and the trucks come in and that sort of thing. The brisket taco was amazing. It was really good. Makes me want to go home and pickle some onions because that really kicked the flavor over the top. And for a little treat, I did get some sugar-free peanut butter cookies. These are made with almond flour, so I'll probably be munching on one of these on the way home.